Hostin. Sounds like a town. We're in Sunny Hostin. She was on PBS's Finding Your Roots, a show dedicated to researching celebrity ancestry. People have to wonder, where does Sunny Hostin get her opinions?
Yeah.
Like you said, and it's obviously from her husband. She has to.
Wow. I'm a little bit in shock. I just always thought of myself as Puerto Rican, you know, half Puerto Rican.
I make fun of The View a lot, but that's only because they keep talking.
How is it that someone who has spent years educating Americans about racial justice was also benefiting from the very system they denounced? For years, Sunny Hostin has been a prominent voice on The View, consistently calling out injustice, privilege, and institutional racism. She has demanded accountability from those she believes have profited from past injustices, making it her career to advise others on how to reckon with the transgressions of their forefathers. In an ironic and dramatic twist, Sunny Hostin has discovered something about her own family history, something that calls her credibility into question. The very standards she has applied to others are now being used against her, exposing a contradiction that she never saw coming. Because if you spend your life looking for racism everywhere, eventually it will find you, even in your own family tree.
I'm a little bit in shock. I just always thought of myself as Puerto Rican, you know, half Puerto Rican. I didn't think I was, my family was originally from Spain and slaveholders.
Yeah. So how are you feeling, my friend?
I think it's actually pretty interesting that my husband and I have shared roots.
Yeah.
So I do appreciate that. And I think it's great for our children to know this information. I guess it's a fact of life that this is how some people made their living.
Sunny Hostin debates with the authority of someone who sees themselves as the moral compass on issues like racism, reparations, and privilege. She presents a clear-cut distinction between the oppressors and the oppressed, and in her worldview, acknowledging one's privilege, expressing regret, and apologizing for any link to historical injustice are essential steps toward accountability. She has repeatedly called out celebrities, politicians, and even her co-hosts for being ignorant, out of touch, or complicit in systemic injustice. One of her key passions is reparations, where she demands that everyone with ties to slavery take responsibility and work to right historical wrongs. But here's the pivotal question. What happens when the person throwing the stones lives in a glass house? What happens when someone who has spent years criticizing others for their connections to a flawed system discovers that their own family history is deeply tied to the very system they condemn? We just found out.
Hostin. Sounds like a town. We're in Sunny Hostin. She was on PBS's Finding Your Roots, a show dedicated to researching celebrity ancestry. For context, Sunny is a staunch supporter of reparations and has made a fortune spewing nonsense about white privilege and racial justice. Well, turns out she's not as oppressed as she claims she is. She's actually the descendant of slave owners.
Sunny Hostin recently appeared on the well-known PBS show Finding Your Roots, where celebrities work with genealogists to uncover their ancestry. She likely expected to walk away with a story of resilience or a heartening tale of persecuted ancestors overcoming adversity. After all, someone who speaks out so passionately against racial injustice must have a family history tied to that struggle, right? Wrong. What she actually discovered has left people talking, and not for the reasons she expected. It was both beautiful and deeply disturbing, with an undeniable sense of irony. Sunny found that her ancestors weren't victims of oppression, they were the oppressors. Her family wasn't enslaved, they were slave owners. Yes, you heard that correctly. Sunny Hostin, a strong advocate for reparations, learned that her own family benefited from the very system she decries. Her response was one of utter disbelief. She blinked, stammered, and struggled to form coherent sentences. "I just didn't think my ancestors had slaves, or that they were originally Spanish," she said. The awkward silence that followed was palpable. For the first time, Sunny Hostin was left speechless.
I make fun of The View a lot, But that's only because they keep talking. Those hens are always clucking. They get to say stupid stuff for an hour every day, and then I get to say stupid stuff for an hour every day, except on purpose. But every now and then, one of those dingbats inadvertently says something that reveals modern liberal thought so perfectly, it deserves further study. You know, like a weird serpent that washed up on the beach and you want to poke it with a stick.
I think she hates him.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Okay, so we can all
That's a
agree on
given.
that. That's a given. I also think that she wants to take him out. She does not want to be the first lady anymore.
They agree with you.
She doesn't want to be the first lady. She's destroyed the Rose Garden. Who hates Christmas? Melania Trump hates Christmas. She doesn't want to decorate for Christmas. She doesn't want to have anything to do with him.
about that. Yeah.
She doesn't want to sleep in the same room with him. She can't tolerate him.
Allegedly.
And she does.
Yeah, how do you know all this?
Yeah, I don't know.
You don't know all this.
Allegedly. That's why I say
Soon, the internet was buzzing with reactions on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, where jokes and memes flooded the platforms. Many users were quick to point out the glaring hypocrisy of the situation. Greg Gutfeld wasted no time poking fun at her, delivering a joke that had his audience in stitches. It was akin to learning that a vegan secretly runs a BBQ business, covertly amusing. Fox News commentators quickly jumped on the bandwagon, calling it the ultimate example of double standards. Then the memes started circulating. One of the most popular showed an altered image of Sunny writing out a reparation check, which quickly went viral. While the internet's jokes were certainly entertaining, they weren't the only issue at play here. The true hypocrisy lay in Sunny's inability to reflect on the years she spent blaming others for the actions of their ancestors. Yet, when her own family history was revealed, there was no acknowledgement, no apology, just a nervous shrug and a hasty exit.
People have to wonder, where does Sunny Hostin get her opinions?
Yeah.
Like you said, it's obviously from her husband. She has to tell her what to say on The View, because without it, she's got nothing up there. She's not very bright. But the problem with her is that she went full racist.
Critics quickly pointed out the most glaring issue. Sunny's entire professional identity has been built around the belief that race defines everything. She has consistently argued that the past must be righted, regardless of individual accomplishments. But when it came time for her to take responsibility for her own family's actions, the rules seemed to change. This is what happens when you focus so intensely on race, losing sight of the individual and the complexity of history. Eventually, it backfires. MSNBC's Lawrence O'Donnell raised an important question. Should Sunny be held to the same standards of scrutiny that she has imposed on others, or has the situation changed, making her exempt? As for her co-hosts on The View, their reactions were telling: meaningless words, awkward silences, and complete avoidance. Even the usually sharp-witted Whoopi Goldberg reportedly hesitated to address the issue directly. Rumor has it she even considered asking, "Would you like me to get you coffee, or should we ask your slave-owning ancestors for a refill?" This wasn't the empowerment Sunny had envisioned. Instead, it revealed an uncomfortable truth. Maybe she didn't fully understand her own identity in the first place. This isn't just about Sunny. It's a broader lesson about the dangers of self-righteousness. History is messy, complicated, and often unsettling. The loudest voices calling out injustice can sometimes be the ones hiding their own inconvenient truths. If Sunny had taken the opportunity to have an honest conversation about responsibility, she might have gained even more respect. But instead, she dodged and deflected, hoping no one would notice. This narrative won't be easily forgotten, though. Racism, as it turns out, has a way of finding you, especially if you spend your life searching for it in every corner of society. For Sunny, it was hidden in her own family tree. So, how do you feel about this? Is this another example of double standards among the elites, or should Sunny be held accountable for her hypocrisy? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this analysis, hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next time a public figure's true story comes to light.